The human brain is so amazing at doing so many different things. That's exactly why humans are still here today. We're still thriving, we're still building civilizations. But ironically, studies have shown that when it comes to money, when it comes to investing, when it comes to saving, your brain can actually work against you in so many different ways. So today, as someone who works in finance myself and someone who studied finance for years, I'm going to show you why this happens, the true psychology of money, and what you can actually do about it. The dopamine spending loop. Why do you think spending your money versus saving or investing usually feels different? Where when you spend your money, it kind of feels like a reward. You feel like a bit excited. Oh my God, I've spent something, I bought something. But when you save or invest your money, for so many people, it feels like you're sacrificing something. It feels like you're almost punishing yourself in the moment. And the reason is literally because our brains are still quite primitive. You have to remember that our ancestors were not thinking about 30-year mortgages, but they were thinking about survival and where their next meal was going to come from. And that's why so many people, if you look right now in the modern world, they're still stuck in that instant gratification mode because our brain was not built to help us get wealthy, but it was built to just simply keep us alive. But the really powerful thing here is that you can use this to your advantage. Yes, right now your brain might get more excitement from spending your money rather than saving or investing it. But the difference between the average person and those who are actually able to build wealth and get wealthy is that they have learned to get this exact same dopamine hit, not from losing their money or spending their money on rubbish, but getting that same excitement from saving their money, investing their money, watching their money grow. That's where they get their excitement from. So instead of treating saving or investing like a sacrifice, treat it like a reward. You have to remember that if you can save or invest, you are so blessed because there are so many people that can't. Where every time you save your money or invest your money, you should also get excited because you are getting closer to your goal of freedom. Freedom to say no to a job that you hate, freedom to travel when you want, freedom to actually relax. Does that not excite you? It should excite you. Status, spending, and social comparison. Very recently, I met someone who came from a very, very wealthy family. And for context, guys, I do not come from a wealthy family. I actually come from the complete opposite. But I remember when I spoke to them, they told me about their lifestyle. They showed me their Bentley. They told me about their 300K watches, their first class flights, like kind of bragging about all of this stuff. And although I live a good life and I've built a good life for myself, I remember in that moment, I kind of felt inadequate. It was such a weird feeling because like for the first time in such a long time, I kind of felt like my life wasn't enough. My achievements weren't enough. And I wanted to use myself as an example here because this feeling that I'm describing is the trap of social comparison. And it's one of the things that destroys so many people's finances. I literally remember reading the study a few weeks ago that said people would rather earn less overall as long as they were still earning more than their neighbors. So they didn't care about how much they were making overall, but they just wanted to be better or make more than the person that was next to them. And that's how powerful social comparison is. And let's be real, even if we don't want to admit it, we've all bought something or done something or tried to look a certain way in front of other people. Like it's totally natural, but it can also be incredibly dangerous. As status is a moving target, as soon as you catch up, someone will always have more. They will have a nicer car, a nicer lifestyle, nicer holidays. So if you chase status with money, you will always lose every single time. So for someone to shift from the broke mindset to the wealth mindset, the goal isn't to eliminate status spending completely, as it's a natural part of being a human. We're social creatures. We're always going to be comparing ourselves to other people. But the real move here is to redirect it, where if you tie your sense of status to freedom and growth instead of flexing, if you tie your sense of status to being successful rather than trying to look successful, then you will always win. Loss aversion. Okay, imagine today I'm feeling very generous and I want to give you £1,000. Here you go. You have £1,000. And I tell you, I want you to invest this £1,000. Where if your investment does well, you make £200. But if your investment doesn't do as well, you lose £200. What scenario do you think would feel more emotional? For the most part, for most people, losing £200 would feel far more painful than gaining £200 would feel good. That's exactly what loss aversion is. And that exact feeling, that fear of loss, is the one thing that's enough to stop so many people from taking the risks that they actually need to grow their money or even to just win in life in general. As on the surface, avoiding loss, it feels safe, it feels responsible, it feels like we're avoiding mistakes. That's how it feels. But it isn't as simple as that. As when you avoid losses, you also avoid potential growth. You avoid investing because you're scared that you might lose money. We avoid negotiating business rates or salaries because rejection feels like loss. We don't start new things or new projects that could make us money and completely change our lives because failure feels like loss. Where you see here, I'm using all of these different examples because it clearly shows that loss and the fear of loss, it isn't just about bad investments. It isn't just about losing your money, but it's about the fear of losing so many intangible things. The fear of losing reputation, the fear of losing confidence, the fear of losing self-image, the fear of losing our sense of control. All of this is loss aversion, whether you want to admit it or not. Where this mindset is something that all of us have to let go of if we want to get better. Because it limits your upside and your potential in every single part of your life, because it keeps you playing in defense mode. And you cannot win, you cannot make money if you're just constantly playing defense. But I think the one question that has changed my life is not how can we avoid losses or how can we avoid failure? But instead I sit down and I ask myself, okay, Mahad, how can we maximize our wins? And that shift in perspective will completely change your outlook on things and your psychology when it comes to money or business or career. Because you have to remember, a winner is simply a loser that tried more than once. So you can't be afraid to lose. You have to lose to win. The optimism bias. Have you ever told yourself that, it's fine, I will start that next week. I will start eating healthy next week. I will start saving more money next week. I will start going gym next week. Have you? You probably have. I have. And the funny thing here is that we often think the problem here is laziness, but it's not really laziness. It's optimism. We are too optimistic because we as humans, we're really, really good at making ourselves believe that the future version of ourselves will be smarter. They will be more disciplined. They will have more money. And as a result, a lot of the time we might push the issues or the problems that we have today onto the future version of ourselves. But the reality here is that problems rarely just go away. Especially when it comes to money, problems often get bigger and worse over time. Think about it like this. If you skip gym just once, it's not a big deal. But if you keep skipping gym for months and months and months, when you eventually go back to the gym, it becomes 10 times harder to get back into shape. And because we know this, we don't want to keep pushing our current problems onto the future version of ourselves. But instead, if there's something that we want to do, we want to stop thinking about it and start actually doing it. So whether it's a bad money habit that you've been meaning to really work on, or a savings goal that you have been pushing to next month, or an investment that you've been looking into, or even debt that you've been wanting to pay down, start today. Even if it's one small baby step, take some action today, as procrastination is one of the most expensive choices that you can ever make. Well, the last thing that I want you guys to take with you is that even when people begin to get better with money, it's very normal to get stuck or to fall back into bad habits, as we're all human. But the people who are able to overcome this long term and who are able to build wealth and actually really, really become good with money, they are able to do this by having a clear financial identity. For example, telling yourself things like, I'm the type of person who gets excited when I save or invest. Or I'm the type of person who would rather have assets than show off. Or I'm the type of person who never ever spends more than I earn. What you see here, these aren't just silly random affirmations, but they are words that allow us to see ourselves and see our lives and see our habits through a completely different lens. Where when you can shift your perspective on yourself and your identity and who you are, and allow yourself to believe that you are someone who is good with money and you are someone who can make and keep money, making good financial decisions becomes 10 times easier. Because you don't waste your time asking yourself, oh, can I afford this, or is this a good decision? But instead you begin asking yourself, does this purchase, does this investment, does this decision align and fit with who I am and my identity? And that's a completely different lens that will last you a lifetime and make you a lot of money. Thank you for watching this video, guys. I hope you found it valuable. If you would like more videos like this, make sure you comment down below because we are going to get our money up, not our money up.